Good afternoon, Frisbee fans, and welcome to Indianapolis, Indiana. We are here for the Midwestern Showdown. First time these two teams meeting in dark. We're going to have the Minnesota Strike from Minneapolis, and in lights today, we're going to have the Indianapolis Red. My name is Charlie Lowe, and with me is Rochelle.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our very windy broadcast we have out here for you today. We have about 22 mile per hour winds around the field right now. It's been a windy morning in Indianapolis, so should make for a fun and exciting game to watch.
You're not kidding about the wind today, Rochelle. It's when it's really kicking up, the flags over Westfield High School look like they are about to fly off the flagpoles.
Absolutely. I was walking up to the broadcast booth myself and almost got blown over, so that would have made for a exciting beginning of the day, but luckily I stood my ground and made it up here.
I'm glad you did. I wouldn't want anybody else here up here casting the game with me today. We do have a couple sponsors that we'd like to take the time to talk about. First up is the Parker Mortgage Team out of Noblesville, Indiana. The rate you found on the internet is no better than a dead disc, and it's really only part of your mortgage equation. You need a go-to mortgage advisor to walk you through the process and paint the whole picture. Check out the Parker Mortgage Team in downtown Noblesville. We're basically your Vincent Van Gogh-to.
And our next sponsor is Zen Lab. So Zen Lab is an online yoga studio that is trying to reduce socioeconomic and physical barriers to yoga. Your teacher, Kristen, who plays Ultimate Frisbee herself, offers a free class every month along with membership perks, discounts, on-demand yoga classes. You can also work with Kristen one-on-one with virtual or in-person private yoga sessions. You can go to www.zenlabindy.com to learn more.
Kristen used to play for the Red. She's known colloquially as KK. Used to play for Tequila Mockingbird, and you can catch her this summer on the field with Rogue.
Yes, I did hear that. It's good news to have her back out on the field.
We'd also like to take the time to shout out Somerset Paving. They are from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Somerset Paving is Detroit's expert in asphalt and concrete paving. Somerset Paving. Take the right way to quality.
Also out of Indianapolis, we have the Materials Data Management, and thank you to one of our local sponsors here. Material Data Management has the experience and drive necessary to help your organization deploy the best in engineering materials information management solutions. Check us out on LinkedIn for our current job openings and our website, materialsdatamanagement.com, for a list of all of our services and software. Data importers, exporters, and consulting too. MDMI is here for you.
And last in this ad spot, Everyone's Joe Photography out of Fort Wayne. Everyone's Joy Photography, UND sports team photographer and Indy Reds official photography company. It doesn't matter if you need sports or fashion. We got you covered at any event. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or online at everyone'sjoyphotography.com.
All right.
So now that we've got those out of the way, Rochelle, what are you expecting to see today as we see our teams announced on field?
So today I'm expecting to see, with the wind, probably a lot of zone looks. We've seen some teams out here in warm-ups kind of working on that in some of their drills. So definitely going to be seeing some of that today. There's definitely a strong upwind, downwind, so teams will most likely be capitalizing on that when they get a chance, but most likely it's going to be a short game.
For those of you who may be tuning in and not aware of a lot of the terminology in Frisbee, a zone is a defense that a team will put on when they are less worried about on-person defense and more worried about occupying various spaces to take away different looks from the team on offense. We do know a little bit about one of the zones that we're going to see from the Indy Red today. We'll get into more to that once we see them throw it as the game gets started. Just know that you won't see the hard person defense you may associate with either of these teams. Rather, you're going to see them looking to really challenge some of those looks and really force teams to throw into that strong upwind.
Yep, so in our game today, a little bit about structure of what the game will look like. So there's 4 quarters in a PUL Ultimate Frisbee game. The first, second, and third quarters will end at the conclusion of a team possession after the clock reaches 0. The fourth quarter still remains a buzzer beater once the result of the throw is determined. We'll have 4 12-minute quarters with a 2-minute 30 seconds between quarters and a 10-minute halftime.
If we do get an opportunity to look at an overtime today, which, going to be a little bit of a homer, hoping that it's just a strong blowout in favor of the Indianapolis Red. Hope that they really, really, really welcome the strike to the league by sending them home early. If we do, though, get into an overtime, that's going to be a 4-minute period. They flip a coin to determine offense and defense, as well as receiving and defending end zones. The first 2 minutes, clock stoppages will be the same as regulation. And those stoppages are between scored points and when the PUL is released. For the last 2 minutes, clock stoppages act more like the fourth quarter. That'll be between every scored point and when the PUL is caught or the disc is touched and tapped into play, as well as stoppages between every call or out-of-bounds turnover that may occur.
Yes, and we do have 2 observers out here today, Zach Mabry and Melissa, and so they will just be out here observing the game and making calls as necessary.
It's interesting to remember that though this is a professional league, a place that the PUL as well as the Western Ultimate League, WUL, choose to differ from the AUDL is that they prefer to have observers calling these games, which means that the players are still responsible for making some calls. The observers are brought in to weigh in when those calls have a little bit of trouble being resolved, as well as to make what are called active calls. Things like inbounds, out of bounds, in for a score, out of a score, and offsides off a PUL.
Correct. And so the players have the responsibility of calling fouls that may occur themselves. And so they have 10 seconds to come to an agreement and discuss what has happened. And the players can accept the foul, contest, or send to an observer to rule on that, like we mentioned.
Looks like things are about to get underway here. So the pulling team is your Minnesota Strike, again down there in the blues, blacks, and lightning bolt. Gotta say, I really enjoy that graphic. It's simple but effective. They're going to be pulling from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. We'll get our first look. That'll be our very first throw that we see on camera today, going into that strong upwind. Receiving, your Indianapolis Red are going to be moving from the right to the left. We're getting ready to go. They're making their final adjustments. And your first pull is up. And a strong first pull gets about halfway up the field. And the Red are going down to pick up the disc. We're immediately seeing person defense in the downwind, and the Red are taking a shot to the end zone immediately. And not able to make the grab is the deep Red receiver. Jackie Lai, one of the coaches for the Red, told me, hey, we're not scared of this wind. We've got strong throwers. We're shooting early, we're shooting often. It does not matter what direction we're going.
Yeah, we can definitely see that that is already evident in this game, so it's going to be exciting.
There's nothing like a first throw hook to get you going.
That's for sure.
And we've also seen the Red immediately throw a zone and force an immediate first throw turnover from the Strike, looking to attack into the end zone. And that's a goal. That's Kelly Kirker.
Yes, and that throw was by Kristen Dudley, as she is named. As well, people know her as Dud, so good, strong start for the Red.
Kelly Kirker and Kristen Dudley are long-time, almost foundational pieces of the Indy Ultimate community. As we get a replay of the turnover, we see the swing over to Kristen Dudley, Duds, and she completes the throw to Kelly Kirker. Easy first score, downwind hold for the Red. You can catch Duds this season playing with Pittsburgh Parcha.
Yes, I have heard great things about Pittsburgh Parcha.
That's a first-year team. A group of women's matching players in the Pittsburgh area decided that, hey, we want to make a team, and not only do we want to make a team, we want to compete at the highest possible level. First year as an organization, they went 2 nationals as the bottom seed, 16th seed, and finished, I believe, in the 7-9 range. It was a huge show out for them.
Yeah. I know there. Do you know the backstory behind their was it but Beware the Chair? Where did that come from?
Tell us all about it.
I don't know. That's why I was asking you.
The rumor is that Parcha is short for parking chair.
Okay, yes. Yep, that makes sense.
I live in Indiana. We live in Indiana. We don't know a lot about parking chairs. As we see that pull go up from the Indy Red, we see that wind kick in. They move the disc about 20 yards upfield, and we see them immediately set into their 3-3-1 zone. Number 16 starting with the disc, Callie Paletto. Swings over to number 9, that's Sarah Helm. Looking to throw some fakes and get that cup moving. She's going to try to open up space, and we see the red front 3 immediately hop up to block that disc and force a turnover, and they take over possession.
Yeah, and that was McKenna Manamore with that block.
So now we're going to get one of our, hopefully a little bit longer, and one of our first looks at offensive strategies from these teams as they look to work into that upwind. An upwind means that the throws are going to pop up a lot. You have to get a lot of spin on the disc in order to really cut through the wind. You're going to see a lot of low throws that can't be caught by the wind and pushed up into the air. McKenna Mattamore. And that just like that, you see the disc pop up. The strike players are able to capitalize, and they take over about halfway through the field, and they throw immediately downwind.
Just a little bit too deep on that one.
So as we said, in these stoppages in the first 3 quarters of the game, that's not going to stop the clock. It's going to keep running actively as the players go to retrieve the disc from out of bounds. Once again, we're seeing the wind take an effect. The strike players crowd. They're able to get the disc stopped, and strike are going to take over, looking probably to be in an end zone set. Number 13 with the disc, Maggie Peck. They have a stoppage. Disc is tapped back in. Maggie Peck still holding. Red defense is swarming, taking away all of those lane options.
Some great defense from Foster over there.
And it looks like they forced a high stall count throw straight to the strike receiver. It came in with some heat, and they were not able to handle the disc. Red are going to take back over on their own end zone line. High pressure catch around the strong defense from the strike.
Yeah, and we're seeing number 3, Mary Timmons, kind of work the field a lot. She's been up there handling and then back in into a popping range, so definitely making good use of space.
Turnover comes from the Indianapolis Red. The strike are going to send someone down to retrieve the disc. They're going to walk it back to the front of the end zone line where they're going to take over possession. Remember, it's windy. We're going to say it a lot. You're going to hear it a lot. It's crazy out there. Those throws, normally very, very, very routine. As we see a gorgeous inside-out backhand to the strike player for the goal that evens us up at 1.
Yes, and that goal was scored by Jane Cook, number 10.
We'll get you the thrower on that in just a moment. Number 13, that's Maggie Peck. Maggie Peck currently plays for Minneapolis Dragon Thrust, a mixed team. Dragon Thrust, most notably last season, got into an epic game against Fort Collins Shame, where they were down some 3 or 4 points and roared back in no small part to one of their players, Caleb Denacor. But it was a full team effort as they roared back to take that game and knock Shame out in the pre-quarters. So we've had a few points. We've seen a lot of wind. We've seen a lot of very careful throwing. We've also seen the effects. We've seen what can happen when the players don't take that extra time to set up and really give those throws the extra time and care that they're going to need.
Yeah, you got to give yourself a second to breathe them to just make sure that you are getting set up where you're supposed to be and get those looks and players of where they are around you.
Rochelle, playing in the Midwest, we've seen our share of games where
absolutely
weather conditions force not just difficult points but long points, and I think that's something we're going to want to see today because even though it is windy, it's still hot out.
Correct.
And the turf only heats things up. As we see number 11, Tilo, look deep to the end zone. It's going to have too much carry, sail out the back.
Intended receiver on that was Bree Harrison. Yeah, back to the Midwest. I think this is a sectionals weekend for Ohio Valley region, or regionals, my mistake. And there's never been a an easy weather conditions over there in the Ohio Valley. That's where I played, and I vividly remember sectionals always kind of being a weather disaster, but makes you a better player.
Absolutely. So coming back to something we mentioned earlier, the Red are playing in what Coach Jack Eli told us is a 3-3-1 zone. What that means is that they're going to have 3 players in a more immediate wall around the disc, stopping that upfield look, putting pressure on the disc, and stopping those swinging lanes. Behind them, anywhere from 10 feet, maybe up to about 10 yards, they're going to be running a 3-person wall. Those are looking to stop those in cuts, those players cutting in to receive the disc and look to continue upfield. And then they're going to sit 1 player deep. It looks like that's number 32, Shinny Rosenthal. As the disc goes out of bounds, the Reds zone succeeds in its goal, forces a turnover, and they'll be taking over some 25 yards outside the end zone. Again, moving from right to left on the screen. Big around look from Tilo, and that is not going to be completed. It's going to sail out the back of the end zone again. Target receiver on that looks like Shinny Rosenthal.
Yeah, lots of action on the left side of the field here in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Zone settles back in for the Red, and the striker looking to make some progress upfield. As we get a turnover, intended target there was 00 Alicia Carr. Plays for Pop, and the Red score. They're able to punch it in from the end zone line. That was Skittles Milton from St. Louis Stellar, able to reel that disc in for the goal. So far, Red Zone is doing its job.
Yeah, they're shutting it down and forcing a lot of those throws. And with this wind, it's inevitable that there's going to be a disc bopping around in the air and get a D.
So when you have games like this where there's a lot of wind, another piece of good Frisbee terminology for those out there is the upwind break. As we get replay queued up, so there's the turnover, throw from Duds to Skittles Milton. With a little rock back. Show, hey, I put the extra work in to secure that disc.
Yeah, get a little blockage of the wind there.
Rochelle, could you tell us about the importance of an upwind break and a little bit more about what a break means in general?
Yes, so a break happens when the team that is initially starting on defense is able to convert and score, and so they're able to get a block at some point during the team's offensive movement and therefore convert into a score themselves and be on offense.
As we see number 16 for the Minnesota Strike pick up the disc, swings to number 55. Downfield shot. It's going to sail over the receiver into that back left corner of the end zone. Red take over on the corner of the end zone, swing upfield. That's number 77, Julia Hill. We look back, they're going to swing in a turnover from number 15, Anna McClurkin. That's going to give Strike an end zone look. See what they set up in. Looks like they're going for a nicely spread out set. They're going to isolate a cutter in the middle, look to really attack to that person and trust a throw. The mark is broken, but the receiver is not able to reel the disc in. Anna McClurkin's going to walk the disc back to the front of the end zone.
It is windy. Goodness.
It's windy. Some of these throws and catches you're seeing from the players, they are going to be infinitely higher difficulty than they might be used to. The wind does not just affect the way the disc moves when it is thrown, it affects the way the disc rolls. It affects the difficulty of the catch, because if you're not hard secure on it, you are not going to reel that back in.
I remember back in college learning how to throw in the wind is probably one of the toughest things to teach a new player, and figure out how to adjust your wrist and your flick and the strength of what you're doing to accommodate the crosswinds, upwinds, downwinds. It's definitely something that comes with experience to master.
So a little conversation down there as Emily Wyckoff maintains possession on the disc for the Indianapolis Red. When two players, offense and defense, have an active catch on the disc at the same time, the colloquialism we like to use is that tie goes to the offense. The offense gets to maintain possessions of the disc. It can be a thing that really frustrates defenders. Sometimes, though, it gives them the fire they need to shoot right back, as we see the strike punch the goal in, and that ties us back up at 2. Finishing out something that we were talking about earlier, Rochelle, when we talk about breaks, that's one of the single most important scores that you can get in Ultimate Game. That importance quintuples when you're thinking about going upwind, downwind, especially in a day as breezy as this.
Yes, definitely.
It is difficult to attack into that upwind space already as an offensive team. When a defense can succeed in taking away your downfield attempts to score upwind, they immediately get another look at forcing you upwind and going down themselves. It can be a thing that a lot of time results in not just 1 goal, but 2.
Yep.
Teams can find themselves in a hole early. All right, pull goes up. That is number 4 from the strike. Sandi Keneally. Sandi Keneally is Austrian, actually. She's from Graz, and currently on an exchange semester at the University of Minnesota, as she gets the disc about 20 yards up, and we'll see the Red take over in a nicely spread out horizontal stack. See them move the disc up. That's Shinny Rosenthal. Gets the disc to Kelly Kirker. Looks for the break attempt on Naraya Bell-Sims. Holsters it, though. Naraya from Carlton Syzygy puts a strong mark on, and the turnover comes for the strike, and they're going to look to attack upwind with their defensive line. We've got about 2 minutes left in the quarter. The 2-minute warning is something that inspires pressure no matter what game we're playing or what the conditions are. Naraya Bell-Sims, again from Carlton Syzygy, able to reel that in. And what a grab to save possession. Naraya Bell-Sims doing everything that she can right now to keep the strike offensive effort going. There is a turnover, though. The Red pick up. That's Duds. Attacks to the far right corner. And the receiver not able to bring it in.
Another strong look from Duds. Just wasn't able to convert on that one. Disc way off into the abyss.
A little fun fact for you is, especially because of the conditions today, the PUL has made discs available at several convenient points around the field, so that way when they sail off into the distance like that, there is no pause on the game while we go and retrieve one. And Kelly Kirker hauls in the goal. That's going to be 3-2 to the Indianapolis Red.
That's the second score for Kelly today. So Kelly is a mixed player primarily. She has played with Liquid Hustle in the past few years and has played Masters as well. And she has also played with Indie Rogue, so she's definitely been around and is a very experienced player all around. She's a well-connected resource and influence in this community, so it's good to see her out here getting some scores today.
We see Blake Vanderbush, one of the coaches, down talking to the Red, as well as assistant coach Samantha Pukis. Giving the D-line a quick coach up, maybe some words of inspiration, maybe some strategic modifications as they look to get there in their defensive set going upwind. We see the pull come up, goes about 20 yards, 25 yards, and we're going to see the strike take over. Pun very intended, in striking distance.
Yes, exactly. That's been quite the same hitting spot there we have landing for the poles recently. It's been around the 30-yard line.
Number 17 for the Minnesota Strike, setting up on the mark against number 77 for the Indianapolis Red. 17 on strike is Adrian Baker. 77 is Julia Hill. McKenna Moore with the disc. Back over to Julia Hill, looking for a dump receiver. Dump receiver is somebody who often goes to receive the disc, not in an upfield attacking space, but often horizontally or even behind the active thrower. And we see the Strike put the disc in. The observer, Zach Mabry, gives the signal, and the Strike celebrate a downwind goal.
Snuck it in right at the end of the quarter expires.
And that is the end of the first quarter. The score is tied up at 3 for both the Indianapolis Red and the Minnesota Strike.
So again, we got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds between our quarter here, so it'll give the team some time to regroup on the sideline, rehydrate, and get back out on the field to begin the second quarter.
Want to once again take a quick spot to talk about Zen Lab from Indianapolis, run by Indy's own Kristen Kawek. Did you know that the Red has a personal yoga teacher? Yes, that is Kristen herself, founder of Zen Lab. And you can work with her too. Zen Lab has a dynamic selection of yoga styles and classes, all available online. Just go to www.zenlabindy.com to learn a little bit more. And if you ever see KK around the Indianapolis area on the Frisbee field, go ahead and give her a shout and say, hey, I love your yoga classes, or hey, I think you're pretty cool.
Yeah, and what's great about Zen Lab and KK is that you can join her studio from anywhere. It's virtual. She has a lot of live online classes. I am a member myself, so it's fun to be able to see her in that way, in that role, and how she's expanded her business over the past few years. So definitely check that out. No matter where you are, where you're at listening to this stream, you can be a Zen Lab member.
So what have we seen so far through this first quarter, Rochelle? Lots of wind.
Lots of wind. I think wind has been the maybe most valuable player or least valuable player. Definitely the best defense so far.
What are some adjustments that these teams are going to make? It's still early on in the game, so they're still all still calibrating. What are some adjustments either of these teams can make in order to start running up the score a little bit?
Yeah, so I think Red has been coming down pretty hard with their zone, and so I think focusing on making shorter, crisper throws to slowly progress that offense up the field, at least for a Minnesota Strike, and the wind is definitely at play, and so making more smarter throws, more sharper throws to just kind of slowly work their way up the field and try and maximize the throws that they do get.
Absolutely. On the Strike side, it's going to be figuring out that 3-3-1 zone from the Red. If they can crack that, that'll be the key to unlocking this game for them. We know that the Red coaches and players are all tremendously intelligent and highly talented, so they'll be shifting the looks as the game goes on. But for the Strike right now, it's just piecing that zone together and seeing what it looks like, and maybe landing a couple more of those big shots downfield. We've seen them there. Yeah. Putting them up. They are not afraid to boost it, as they say. But it'll really be a matter of, who can clean up their throws first. The Red either with those short throws you mentioned, or the Strike with those big booming deep shots.
Yep, and both teams have had some of those deep shots that have been almost just there, and whether or not it's just been a slight wind adjustment or just a different pivot from the cutter, but they're definitely there and they're definitely making them. It's just whether or not we can start seeing them capitalize on those.
We're seeing the teams jog back onto the field. Down on the right side of your screen, that is the Indianapolis Red again in the light jerseys, as you see Coach Jackie Lai walk out to give them some tips. It's the offensive line out there. And off camera right now, but on the left side of your screen, who will be pulling is the Minnesota Strike again in those blue-black lightning bolt jerseys.
Yes, and we do have lots of fans out here today. I know you can't necessarily see them from our angle. There's no one sitting over there on the visitor side, but everyone is predominantly down on the down on the home side here at Westfield. So lots of fans out here today supporting both teams, and just really excited to just be back and having a home game for Indianapolis Red. I feel like it's been a long time coming, so it's been great to just be out here, and it's a beautiful day, even though it is windy. But
In a correction, I'm sorry, I said that the Minnesota Strike were pulling. I thought I saw a disc. I lied to you all. The Strike are receiving, and that pull deep into their own end zone. We've already seen 3 throws, and they have not yet made it back to the front cone. The Red there with their defensive set, trying to apply as much pressure as possible, and they do get the turnover from the Strike.
Duds again.
And you hate to see that. Lands it cleanly on the high-jumping mat for Westfield High School. Another disc is run on the field, and the Strike will be taking over to their middle and left on the front of their end zone. That's 00 Alicia Carr bringing the disc up.
Definitely putting our volunteers to work today, getting out here, getting those discs wherever they land up.
We want to take some time to recognize the volunteers, though. If you have a PUL team in your city or near enough to you that you could get there, go look for ways to volunteer. These players work so hard, not just on the field and off the field, but to even get their season going. Find ways to give back. See if you can go support your local PUL or WUL team. They will appreciate it, and you may get to watch the game for free.
So we just had a foul call there, so we're resetting, and a quick turn and miscommunication, it looks like.
Kristen Dudley picks up the disc, walks back to the end zone. Cutters are looking for space, fighting hard for it, and we finally get some. Jamie Smets from Indianapolis Rogue secures the disc for the goal, putting your Indianapolis Red up 4-3 over the Minnesota Strike.
And Duds with that assist as well. She's really racking those up today.
Yeah. Quick high stat leaders for your Indianapolis Red. Kelly Kirker with 2 goals. Duds with at least 2 assists. We mentioned the foul call earlier. That was the stoppage that we saw in the end zone line. For you at home, a foul call is incidental contact that affects the ability to complete or make a play by either team. Fouls can be offensive or defensive. They can be from anything on the thrower, in the active cutting space, or in an attempt for a disc. Remember that it doesn't have to be it's incidental contact. It can really be anything. Players like to get in arguments over, well, it was just, that happened on accident. Doesn't matter. It can still be a foul call. As we see the Red throw up the pull about 22, 23 yards, and the Striker going to take over, looking to attack downwind. It's number 55 with the disc. That is Courtney Walby. She's going to need to look to get the throw off as the stall rises, and the Red force the turnover that they are looking for with that zone. A swing back to Makeda Moore in the middle of the field. Disc pops up. Red players swarming.
An unfortunate bobbling there between 2 of the Red players.
And Courtney Walby looking at a receiver all alone, but the disc is going to carry and get pushed out that far right corner of the end zone.
Definitely been lots of looks to that corner today. I don't know if we've seen any completions over on that side of the field, at least in the long throw.
And you've got to wonder, these players are, have all this time as we see a turnover. Number 24, the Indianapolis for the Red, the intended receiver. That's Eliza Hutchings.
Looks like there was a foul called on the field.
We see a couple Strike players in a conversation with the Indianapolis Red player as observer Zach Mabry walks up. Declares that there is no foul, and the Striker going to take over about 30 yards outside the end zone. Immediate look. The Strike player brings it down.
That is number 10. Jane Cook comes down with that one.
And you said it yourself, Rochelle. They've been looking to that kind of right side of the field as they're moving towards that left end zone. there was an immediate calibration, and they came down with the score.
Yeah. Talked into existence, I guess.
Is Rochelle prescient? We're going to find out over the course of this game.
We'll see what else I come up with here.
Something else that's understated is not just the upwind break, but how important it is to make sure that you score in those downwind scenarios. Teams that aren't able to capitalize when the wind is moving in their favor, it generally find themselves in losing efforts. So this game is not just a matter of who can apply the most defensive pressure and clean offense off a turn going upwind, but who can make sure that they get the job done in those downwind scenarios. It's great to want to shoot, and if you've got those throws, you should throw them, but if they're not getting completed, you may have to look for other options.
Got the disc rolls out there.
Yeah, that is one of the best upwind pulls we've seen so far coming from either team as the Minnesota Strike get it to about half field, and we'll see the Red take over on that far sideline. Immediate, huge rip from the Red, and Shani Rosenthal reels it in, throws the disc in celebration as the Red celebrate a one-throw score, and get ready to put a D-line back out.
Fastest point we've seen so far.
Fastest point we've seen so far. If you score fast on offense, you can put more defense in. As we see the throw go up, Shani reads it calmly around the pressure from the Strike player and reels that huck in.
Definitely got some excitement going on out here. I think we're getting into the swing of the game, and everyone's kind of adapted and is ready to go.
Taking some quick time to shout out our fans here for the Indianapolis Red. We've got a pretty good cheering section. They're sitting kind of grouped up, but there's representation from several different communities down there, not just the families of the players, but people who are able to travel in from the games, from the various places. As we see those fans down, enjoying a beautiful sunny day. You know, if it weren't so windy, you'd probably be baking on those bleachers, but got to imagine the wind keeps you cool sitting there.
Keeps a little cooled down. And yeah, an Indianapolis Red, though, homed out of Indianapolis, has players from a lot of places. Mainly a lot in Michigan, St. Louis, some from Chicago area, Cincinnati. I'm sure I'm forgetting something else, but definitely a diverse group for the Indy Red, and it's cool to see so many people who have so many different experiences from different regions and with different teams kind of come together and play and have fun and in a professional environment.
As we see the Strike with a turnover and the Red take over, and number 77, Julia Hill, not able to complete the throw to her left side of the field, and the Strike not able to bring back in their own end zone look. So we'll see the Red get a new disc and take over at the front of their end zone. That's a number 15, Anna McClurkin, from Ann Arbor Hybrid, fresh off of a Nationals, not just a Nationals appearance, but a championship appearance in the club season last year.
Yeah, it was really cool to see Hybrid kind of go all the way this year. I know they've been working hard in the past few years, and they're in our region, and it's cool to just see them be successful and really put in a lot of time and effort into succeeding. We have a couple Hybrid players that live in Indianapolis, and so close friends. It's always good to see some national championships out there.
So there was an initial goal attempt from the Minnesota Strike. It was called back on a travel, but they are able to complete it anyway. Despite high marking intensity from Linnea Fraser. That's going to tie us back up. We see number 17 throw the fake. Dumps it off to number 16, who completes it over to number 11. Rachel Johnson for the Strike with the goal, and Callie Paletto with the assist.
Interesting fact about Rachel Johnson we have here is her cat is named after Shawn Mendes. So special shout out to her cat. It's a good name.
Taking the time to recognize some of our other team here. Doing the announcing for the game today, we've got Julia Juju Johnson. Originally from California, moved to the Bloomington area, and now lives up here in Indianapolis. Has quite a bit of playing experience and loves to give her time to causes she believes in, so she is here volunteering and doing the in-game announcing for the Indianapolis Red. So we're starting to see the defensive intensity ramp up, but we're also starting to see some quicker points and some better pulling. Teams are starting to figure out this wind, but the wind makes fools of us all as it pushes the disc back about 10 yards. We see the huge bid from number 72 on the strike to stop that disc from going anywhere else. That's Meg Lake Armstrong from Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. Charlotte Chuck Wilson completes the throw upfield to Bree Harrison. Chuck Wilson has been taking over the Red Twitter the last couple days. You should go back and check her out. It's been a wild ride, but she's given us some really cool insights. Swing over to Tilo, and Naraya Bell Sims reads that the entire direction, gets the block, and we see number 21 throws it back to Naraya Bell Sims as the strikes start moving quickly and efficiently upfield, trying not to give the Red a chance to get back into their 3-3-1.
Yeah, lots of quick zone looks out there.
That is something that coaches tend to give to players. Once they've started to figure out how a zone operates, they're going to look to encourage their team to attack smartly but efficiently up the field. But that time, not able to get the job done. We see the block from Charlotte Chuck Wilson. She's going to pick the disc up. Pushes upfield to Duds, number 17.
See what Duds can do with this one.
Back to Tilo in the middle of the field. Does not take the option to swing to that far sideline until she gets a good look at the middle of the field. Tilo is a phenomenal handler, and their judgment is good. We don't see anybody attacking that far right sideline until Tilo goes there themselves. High pressure in the end zone from the strike players. A huge break around, but no one there to reel it in.
Another disc gone to the wind.
How many times and how many different ways are we going to say that?
I know, we should just start keeping track. Turn it into a betting game. We'll see what the fans think, how many times.
If we had fantasy going for the PUL like they do for the WUL, there would have to be someone should get lucky and be able to pick the wind up. It's going to be a huge factor across these games. As we get a foul call on the field from a strike player. Arguing their case. We're going to see the observers come on. No, they're not going to bring the observers in. It looks like that they were able to resolve it themselves.
So most plays or calls on the field usually have associated hand signals, which is helpful for people like us up here in the booth who aren't quite as close, but also for fans and people downfield to be able to see what's going on and just kind of make it unanimous kind of code of language across Ultimate Frisbee itself.
The PUL had some rule changes in the last couple years. There is a 10-second limit for players to come to a resolution as they do, and the Red are able to capitalize. Kristen Dudley again. That's 3 assists, and that's Jamie Smets reeling in a goal.
Definitely got some emerging stat leaders out here.
There's Duds. No hesitation,
nice
calmly
find.
Evaluates her options and throws it to Jamie Smets, number 8.
And Jamie is a mother of 3. She's got some kids we see actually running down here in front of us. They are quite the group, and Jamie is a very talented player. She has played many teams, and she's actually a Grandmasters eligible player. And like myself, she also enjoys making very elaborate birthday cakes for her kids, so very fun.
Elaborate and delicious are different things, but I'm going to trust that Jamie Smets is fully talented at both of those. Rochelle,
agree.
haven't tasted your handiwork, though. We're going to have to try that out sometime.
We'll try it out.
Another pull. We're starting to see these upwind pulls travel farther. They started out in about the 20-yard range. We've seen them start to clear 30, 40. No one's hit 50 yards yet. We'll be looking out for that first person to figure out that big rip. Huge throw from number 16 on the strike. And it works. Wow, what a throw and what a read from the Minnesota strike player as they tie it back up at 6. The downwind continuing to prove the most effective option for scoring.
Yeah, it went just through the hands of Jalen Baumgartner right there. But a good read from the Minnesota strike player.
And that is Callie Paletto with the assist to Danielle Byers. Callie Paletto plays for Minnesota Pop, and Danielle Byers currently starring on Minneapolis Dragon Thrust.
Yeah, definitely have some moments of calm wind. We got about 3 flags that are sitting directly across from us here up in the booth, and every once in a while they drop. But for the most part, they're pretty strong. So we got about 4 minutes and 13 seconds left on the clock.
Pull goes up, a low throw that proves to be highly effective for the Minnesota Strike, traveling about halfway up the field. We're going to see them settle up into their person defense, and the stack from the Indy Red, long and deep. They've got 3 handlers back. Kelly Kirker reels the disc in, coming across the field. So we see the Indy player on the far sideline, swings the disc. Looks like we've got a conversation going on. A pick call. A pick is when a player's ability to maintain what is called guarding on their player is interrupted by anybody else on the field. Pick calls usually have to be made within that guarding space, which is 10 feet thereabouts. But it is something that interrupts a player's ability to stay on the person that they are guarding, or it prevents, which would thusly result in perhaps yards gained that were not earned. So we see Zach Mabry there giving an assist on a ruling. Determines the player is allowed to catch up. That's number 15 for the Strike, Katie Godfrey. Currently plays for Pop. Huge swing from the red. Not able to reel in the goal effort is Shinny Rosenthal. The Strike player runs back to pick up the disc. That's number 11, Rachel Johnson. Taps the disc in, and we're live. Tie mark on the zone effort from the red. They crack through that first layer, and that's number 15, Katie Godfrey. Swings the disc to number 72. Back across field to number 33. That's Kayla Blanick. Turnover forced, though. Kaylee Kirker helping make sure the disc is down and stays down. And we see Tilo pick the disc up. They look to the break side, and the receiver not able to reel it in, Jamie Smets, despite the brilliant break look from Tilo.
Nice sideline throw there.
And that's number 21, Sarah Mondshine with the disc. See a conversation with Kelly Kirker going on.
Great learning opportunity. Every conversation with Kelly Kirker on field, it's always a great learning opportunity.
Kelly Kirker knows the rule book and is not afraid to make calls. And you look for that in you look for that kind of leadership when you are in these games. Especially where there's other uncontrollables going on, being able to lean on something like your knowledge of the rules is huge, as we see the goal from the Indianapolis Red.
Looks like Emily Schloninger comes down with that one. We're definitely getting some action on that right side of that end zone now.
Mm-hmm. Tilo picks the disc up. They look downfield. Emily Schloninger takes her time, reels that disc in. Emily Schloninger played on Ball State University from 2015 to 2020, has spent some time with Liquid Hustle and Indy Rogue, and now is up in Fort Wayne playing for Truck. A cool fact about Emily is that she played the oboe in high school and won Best in Show with her rabbit Hugo at the Indy State Fair.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive for Indiana State Fair rabbit. There's some steep competition.
Every year I go, it's one of my favorite things. I've started taking my cousin out with me. She loves it. We spend infinitely too long in the Best in Show competitions watching all the little animals.
Yeah, most recently last year I sat and rode there's a trolley that runs around the circular fairgrounds, and it's great to just sit on it and just hang out and watch people and see what goes on. It's always a an adventure here in Indianapolis, that's for sure.
Pull goes up from Anna McClurkin, stopped about 35 yards up. And we see an immediate rip from Minnesota Strike. It splits the difference between their two offenders and the red defender. Disc sails out the back. And we're starting to see a little bit more of what, it's not fully a zone look. The term used most commonly in Frisbee is a junk look from the strike players. That means in this case is that they're putting an active on disc mark and having two players sag off in the lanes to stop those upfield throws. Strike not able to capitalize on a turnover, giving it back to the red. Anna McClurkin's going to go pick the disc up. A little more about that junk. That does not mean, though, that the players downfield are playing more in spaces. They're still playing active person defense, as you can see, number 9 for the Strike, guarding number 25 for the Indianapolis Red. Benefits of that look is it means you know that no one is moving freely downfield, but it gives you a little bit more pressure. You decided, hey, we're okay with them swinging the disc back and forth. It's really those downfield. As we see the goal, oh, maybe a little conversation about it. Hold on. So on that front right corner, the Minnesota Strike will be attacking and an end zone set from there. You see a swing and a layout block. Wow, what a heads-up play from the Indianapolis Red, but it looks like there was a foul call on the throw. That disc is going to go back for the second time.
And that's Julia Hill from Indianapolis Red over there, playing some hard defense.
It can be very frustrating as a mark, and that's number 16 for the Minnesota Strike, Callie Pleto with the disc. It can be frustrating as a mark when you put a lot of work in, only to have a foul call go off or a little dump throw like that go off, as we see the score from the Minnesota Strike. That's number 10, Jane Cook. It can be frustrating as a mark when you see, your hard work is kind of, just kind of go out the window because a little bit of contact was initiated or the opposing team was able to get off a call. Oop.
Looks like there's something going on down there.
Looks like they bring it to an easy resolution, though. See Anna McClurkin and Emily Wyckoff walking off the field. Makeda Matamore getting Anna McClurkin hyped back up after a little bit of conversation, maybe a little bit of extracurricular activity. Holly Denacor walking off the field on the bottom of your screens. Holly Denacor, of course, head coach for this Minnesota Strike team and a phenomenally talented Frisbee player in her own right. You can catch her on field for Minneapolis Dragon Thrust as well. She lives in St. Paul with her husband, her 3-year-old son, and a dog and a cat. So family-oriented, but highly competitive and Frisbee-focused. And there we have it. About a 45-yard pull from the Minnesota Strike. Rolls back, though. Wind continuing to not do these teams any favors. And we see Tilo pick the disc up. And we've got about 10 seconds left. Remembering that at the it's only the fourth quarter where we get into a buzzer beater situation, as we see the completion to Shani Rosenthal, who calls a timeout. At the end, even though it's the end of a half, the team, because we're still in the first 3 quarters, these teams are able to play out the possession as time expires. So the Red are going to use this because they maintained possession on that deep look, are going to use this opportunity to call an end zone set and ensure that they get this last point ahead of halftime.
Yeah, and so a difference of timeouts within the PUL versus the USAU rules is in a PUL timeout, subs are allowed versus in USAU there is no substitutions allowed. So usually sideline players just get out there, get their teammates some water, some hydration, and they stay on the field. Versus PUL, there's some opportunity to switch out players as needed. Usually that happens after a defensive offensive switch over based on how the point started, but it looks like we're going to have consistent lines out there for this one.
Mm-hmm. That is T. Lowe, Tracy Lowe, standing over the disc. T. Lowe has played for both, Hybrid as well as Columbus Rival. Oh, I apologize. Ann Arbor Columbus Rival, rather. So no time on Hybrid. T. Lowe. The disc is thrown over the head of Shani Rosenthal. The Strike get the stop that they were looking for despite the offensive set for the Red. And we are going to halftime tied up at 7s.
Yeah, so coming into halftime here, so some of our partners here locally, we have the Girl Scouts of America and the Central Indiana branch specifically, the ACLU of Indiana, the Premier Ultimate League, Universe Point Productions, and also the Indiana Ultimate Foundation. So lots of partners here partnering with Indy Red. It's a good opportunity to get some visibility here in the community and just spread the awareness of Ultimate and everything that this sport can bring to our families, to our friends, and to our communities.
Something else we want to take the time to say here. The Indianapolis Red denounces the anti-trans bill passed by the Indiana State Legislature. On May 24th, an effort will take place to reconsider the House Bill 1041. We stand in solidarity with trans athletes of all ages. Indy Red monetarily supports organizations that help the LGBTQIA+ community in Indianapolis.
So for each game, Indy Red athletes have individually decided to opt in to donate that game's salary towards Indianapolis LGBTQIA+ organizations, including Trinity Haven, Gender Nexus, GEKCO, and Indiana Youth Group. Please visit indyred.org/mission to learn more or to make a donation to one of these organizations yourself. And again, that's a really cool opportunity that a lot of PUL players have, and just getting to support and recognize and promote organizations like the ones that they mentioned, and just it's a very personable environment to be in, and just really get the opportunity to make the sport your own and support who you are passionate about.
It's been a strong first half so far from both of these teams. We've had everything from high wins, giving these players the opportunity to showcase their throwing talent. We've seen several different defensive looks between these two teams, and even had some fun calls and resolutions along the way. I think that's going to shape up for a very, very exciting second half. And that's what we're here to see. The PUL and the WUL, but the PUL specifically is an organization dedicated to offering professional playing opportunities to women's matching players, women's players, and trans athletes in the Frisbee community. For a long time, those opportunities were limited to men or teams that were willing to offer roster spots to women's matching players, and the PUL, upon its founding, is dedicated to giving everyone an opportunity to play. The Indy Red is lucky to have its founder, one of its founders, Jackie Lai, return to be a coach for them as well. It's really cool to get to see these athletes that Rochelle and I have spent so much time getting to know in our personal lives compete at the highest possible level.
Yeah, I think it's a unique opportunity, and especially both as Charlie and I are players ourselves, and it's cool as you grow and as be involved in the Ultimate Frisbee community. Everyone kind of finds their role that they fit into, and myself personally have moved into more of a administrative coaching role as opposed to playing as often, and so I think it's cool to see how everyone's different gifts and talents kind of just evolve as Ultimate players, and whether or not that is into playing professionally or coaching or captaining a club team, or even just being an active community member in Ultimate Frisbee. it's really important, I think, to continue that. I think what's common thread across all Ultimate Frisbee players is just our love for the game and supporting it in whatever way we can.
Absolutely. We do want to take some quick time to read something off to you. This was announced on field early in the game. Rochelle and I, though, determined that it was important, and we wanted to make sure we shared that with you. So, as we said, we're playing here at Westfield High School, watching this game between away team Minnesota Strike and our home team, the Indianapolis Red. We would like to take a moment and notice and recognize those that occupied this land before us. Indiana was the historic homeland of many Native American tribes, including the Shawnee, Miami, Wea, Potawatomi, Delaware, Wyandot, Kickapoo, Piankashaw, Chickasaw, and others.
These tribes were removed from the state throughout a series of treaties in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. You can visit indiered.org/mission to access more resources about indigenous tribes in Indiana and to donate to organizations that support them. And again, the Indianapolis Red do a great job at promoting organizations and causes that are important to them and to reference what is important to them at heart. And I think it's a really cool opportunity. And again, you can visit all of their social handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Indie Red, along with their website, to find out more what they are promoting at that period of time.
So, Rochelle, something that I think is something that's important to do, get a couple real quick predictions in. Since we're tied up at 7s, this truly is either team's game. Do you have any predictions about which way this is going to go?
It's been pretty back and forth so far. I think it will really just be which team can capitalize on the lessons they've learned in the first game, and the wind is definitely here to stay. It's not dying down anytime soon. So who can capitalize in their offense and kind of adapt what they're throwing and what looks they're taking and what's been successful so far. Definitely those deep shots have been working. Just got to make sure they're a little bit more calculated and dialed in order to get them to completion. But I definitely think we'll see a bit more crispness from each team in the second half, and we'll see if one team runs away with it or not.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to take a super short break, and we'll be right back on the cast with you all. And welcome back after a short halftime break for the commentators. We are here at the beginning of the second half as we count down the last 5 seconds. We've got the red down on the left side of the field. You see Blake and Samantha out there talking to them. They're going to be pulling and moving from left to right. Minnesota Strike will be receiving. You'll see them moving from right to left. As we come ahead of this point, I do want to take a brief moment and shout out a good friend of mine and massive ambassador, organizer, and phenomenal Frisbee human, Leslie Bowie, who helped get the strike organized, get them off the ground, to get them competing. Leslie was not able to travel with the team today, but she is at one of several strike watch parties, this one at the Black Heart of St. Paul, giving them a shout out, thanking Leslie for all of the work that she has put in. Truly, they are one of the greater Frisbee organizers I've ever met in my life, and not just one of the most motivating and motivational people I've ever met, but just a wonderful friend. Leslie channels their effort into every person that comes into their life, and it's a wonderful joy to get to have spent time with them in the past.
Yeah, it's great to have ultimate connections like that. I know she is definitely a connector of people, and I have a couple friends that live up in Wisconsin, and connected with her and through different people and getting involved in the Madison, Minnesota, Wisconsin kind of group up there. So it's been really good to just see ultimate connections just span throughout life.
Once again, I have gotten the pulling side incorrect. We see the red attacking upfield as a foul call goes up from a player not able to bring the disc in through some contact. The strike pulled to the red. The red will be attacking left to right on offense. Tilo looking downfield, swings the disc over to Anna McClurkin. So we're seeing a lot of activity in the space close to the disc. Number 33 for the red pulls that in. That's Jalen Baumgartner, one of the captains for new Indy mixed team, Indy Mixers. Check them out this club season. Swing back over to Tilo. They have another handler on the bottom. They attack upfield and received by number 24, Eliza Hutchings. Something huge that we're seeing right now, as unfortunately the receiver is out of bounds, is the red decided that they're going to attack pretty fearlessly into that upwind, and not only that, that they're also going to settle into their zone, attacking it down, despite the strike attacking downwind. Oh, that is one of the best bids we've seen in this game so far. Unfortunately, number 10, Jane Cook, not able to reel that disc in, despite a massive effort. But rewarded by an immediate turnover, as we see number 55 for the Minnesota Strike. That is Courtney Walby taking over on her left sideline, the bottom of your screens.
Yeah, so one thing that's unique between the two professional leagues, the PUL versus the AUDL, is the appearance of double teaming, which does not occur in the PUDL or standardly in USAU, but is a prevalent occurrence that you will see in the AUDL.
Mm-hmm. Downfield look for the strike, not able to complete that to number 11, Rachel Johnson. Oh, I do apologize, that's number 17, Adrienne Baker. Tracy Lowe bringing the disc up to their front right corner. Special shout out to Heath, one of our lead crew members, running the show over here, for closing the window and getting us some blockage on that win. We see that disc from Tilo sail straight back into the end zone. That's going to give Strike an opportunity to set up an end zone set attacking downwind. It's notable that if they are able to put this in, The strike pulled this, so this would be one of those breaks that we mentioned earlier. Again, for those of you new to Frisbee terminology, means that if they are able to capitalize, unfortunately they are not able to. Had they been able to capitalize, that means that they would have broken the offensive set, forcing a reversal of field and giving them a distinct advantage. As it stands, the Red are going to get another opportunity to look up field. Getting frustrated by the marking of the Minnesota Strike. We're doing a phenomenal job frustrating those handlers. And what a run out by the Indianapolis Red, following that disc the whole way. That was number 3, Mary Timmons, who made that play. We see a turnover from the Red, though, and the Strike taking over in attacking position about 10 yards out of the end zone. Red player reads it out. Able to make the D, once again frustrating the Strike in their own end zone. In their attacking end zone, rather.
And that D was from McKenna Mattimore, and this is her first year playing in the professional ultimate space. She plays with PUL, a mixed club team out of Lansing, Michigan. So she's one of our Michiganders on this team, and it's good to have her and get her experience and skills out there in the field.
The downfield look from the Red player stays a little bit low. The Strike player able to knock it back down. They're picking up a little over halfway downfield, attacking immediately into that deep space. The Red receiver outreads it, takes that interior position, something tremendously important to a defensive player, and able to body out the Strike player and force another block. We see number 4 for the Red calling for the disc. Tilo instead swings it to Anna McClurkin, number 15. Possession maintained by number 33, Jalen Baumgartner. Something that we just saw there from the Red, though, as they look to get into attacking position, not trying to give the Strike an opportunity. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? A huge layout from the Minnesota Strike to score and go up 8-7. One of their, maybe their only break of the game against the Indianapolis Red.
So I think that was their Strike's first break. Let's take a look again here.
See the throw go up, and that's number 10 for the Minnesota Strike. Jane Cook gets ridiculously huge to reel that goal in on that layout.
I believe she was the one we commented on laying out earlier, so I'm glad that she was able to come down with one there and get a nice highlight reel.
Jane Cook not afraid to throw her body around, it appears, today, and right now, that's the difference in this game as the Minnesota Strike secure their first break and look to maybe earn a second one going upwind now. We'll see if the Red can respond cool and collected, get an easy downwind hold, and try to get that break back from the Minnesota Strike. You've got to wonder, though, if that's going to end up being the difference in this game as we see the pull go up. Gets halted by a wall of wind, landing about 30 yards out from the end zone. A telling thing here will be how the Red respond. If they're able to walk the disc up the field, showing that they are still in, they still feel confident in their possession of the game as they throw a turnover. If they're able to secure this downwind hold, earn it back, we'll keep the game in, but the Strike are going to look to push the disc and the pace here, attacking huge upfield on a look to an open receiver, number 33, Kayla Blanick. Disc is swung back to the middle of the field. Rachel Johnson, and there's a turnover thrown to Alicia Carr. Tilo looks for the huge lefty backhand. And the disc is called down by the observer. That's another one of those active calls that observers can make is up, down. That's one that you'll see receivers get in conversations about a lot. So it look like there's some conversation still happening.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from our perspective up here as to whether or not that was up or down. It looked like Jamie had a bit of a surprise on her face when she grabbed that one.
From the replay, that looked like it might have been up. It is called down, though, as a final resolution. The striker taking over in the front of their end zone. Alicia Carr cracks the cup and swings over. And that's upfield to number 4, Sandy Keneally. Back to Rachel Johnson. So the red cup is having to start to take away a lot more looks. Originally, they were pretty content to sit in that cup or that wall as called by the coaches, and because there wasn't a lot of looks back to the handlers, the strike have figured that out, though, and are doing a lot more handler weaving, as it's called. It's starting to yield some success, though the wind forces another turnover. Kelly Kirker slides for that disc, not able to complete the grab. Earned immediately back by Tracy Lowe. It doesn't matter. T-Lowe is showing that they are willing to do whatever it takes to win this game. Throws a high release, immediately reeled back in by Alicia Carr. We're starting to see the game pick up in pace as a lot of these throws are coming quickly. For better or for worse, though, they're resulting in almost as many turns as they are completions. We'll see who is able to either even the ship out and dictate pace, or maybe who is able to say, fine, we're happy to play fast and it's going to work for us.
Yep, and we've had very little points here this last quarter. Looks like I think this is our third or fourth point. So the wind is definitely a factor. Lots of quick throws, quick turns, and lots of movement back and forth. So we'll see who will end up with this one.
A turnover in the end zone. Red take over on their front sideline. Shani Rosenthal, were her feet in?
It's a bit tricky to tell with the horizontal pylon, but we'll see what the technical back line is here. Is it the white to green or the white to tan line?
Kind of a funny thing that's happening is because it's so windy, the pylons are getting blown over, which is making it difficult to determine if the player was in or not as we watch the replay right there.
Looks like if the white is what is in, then...
Unfortunately, our observer working to get their eyes on it blocks our camera's view. It looks, though... Oh, we're still getting some conversation. The strike player, Alicia Carr, over giving her perspective. You can see Naraya Bell-Sims also from the strike over there talking about it as well. It's going to be a matter of if Shani got her left foot down first before putting her right one down. If she was able to secure the disc with that left foot down, they're going to call that in. The conversation, though, is about if she was straddling the line or not. They call it in. That's a goal for your Indianapolis Red, able to right the ship, tie this game back up at 8s, and they're going to be looking to... So we see a throw from T-Lowe go up over the defender, see Shani, and as they said, she got that left foot down. They're calling that an active goal.
It's a much-needed goal for Indianapolis Red to keep up pace in this game. So nice to see them come down with it after a bit of a question mark, but as a much-needed.
I'd like to take the time to shout out the over 200 of you tuning in for the PUL stream. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us so far. Looking forward to an exciting rest of this game. If you know somebody who's a Frisbee fan or just a sports fan in general and you don't think they're doing anything right now, drop the link over to them. Let's get more people on this stream. We'd love to share the gift of Frisbee with you and love to share this gorgeous afternoon with you.
Yeah, it's been great to be able to have games streamed live. I think there's been lots of games so far that have either aired after the fact or tape delays, or it's just great to have it live and just be a part of the action. It just really brings the momentum with the sport and with the game for the teams to just have fans engaged as game is going on. And so really cool opportunity that we're able to bring to the sport.
Visibility matters, and that's the only way that sports grow. We are out here trying to grow the sport of Frisbee. We're out here trying to get more and more people to recognize the hard work that these players and these organizers have put in. You can help by sharing this stream and future streams with members of your own community and tuning in yourself anytime the opportunity is present. As we see the pull go up, wind loops it back around immediately. The Reds stop it about 25 yards outside the end zone. Striker going to pick up. We already see the Red set in that 3-3-1 defense. Number 16, Callie Pluto with the disc. Challenged on the mark by number 77, Julia Hill. Throw goes up. Red all over it as the disc is knocked down.
It's a signature Jalen Baumgartner look. She always goes for the double hand smack when she blocks a disc.
I did not know that.
Yeah, fairly common. Just got to make sure you just really, really get it on the ground, you know.
Yeah. Two hands is the best way to secure the disc on offense and defense.
That's what I hear.
Disc is tapped back in. Look from the strike. High blading throw, reeled in by number 7, Danielle Byers. She's all over the place. She's got her fingerprints all over this game. No spike, gently leaves the disc down for her teammates to pick back up as she reels in another goal. So that throw came from 13, Maggie Peck. High blading throw, making sure that she gets it up and over the mark. Danielle Byers able to read that one easily. Listen, blades are difficult to land, and having so much security on that throw despite the way the wind would normally affect it, that's a high-level throw right there, showcased by Maggie Peck.
Yeah, and usually those discs, especially with the wind, are coming in pretty hot, so you got to be prepared to grab them when they're right in front of you and bring it down for a score.
Gonna once again take advantage of the stoppage to shout out Zen Lab Indy. You want to start her deep in your yoga practice, but you're not ready to plunge into a physical yoga studio? Zen Lab was created with 4 things in mind: online access, affordability, flexibility, and community. Your teacher, Kristen, strives for you to feel safe and free of judgment in your yoga practice. Beginners are welcome. Everyone is celebrated. Go to www.zenlabindy.com to learn more. As we get the pull up from the Minnesota Strike. Ooh, the rolling works for them this time, and immediately the wind corrects me and sends it streaking back downfield.
Couple of diving layouts there to get that disc on the ground.
Nothing to get the full team bidding like having to keep the disc from sealing back in your own end zone. Duds picks the disc up for the Indy Red. Goes around. Disc is caught but not secured for the goal by the Indianapolis Red player. That's number 40, Skittles Morton, who eventually punches it in for the goal.
Jamie Smets with another goal.
Jamie Smets is also all over the place today. Fakes the receiver off, and we see her put it to Jamie Smets.
Yeah, one of our other sponsors we have out here is Everyone's Joy Photography. I believe you see him down there somewhere. He's in the red shirt with the big old camera lens right on the between the 40 and 30 sideline. And he is a Indy sports team photographer, and Indy Red's also official photographer. Doesn't matter if you need sports or fashion, we've got you covered at any event. You can find Everyone's Joy Photography on Facebook, Instagram, online at everyone'sjoyphotography.com. Everyone loves a good snapshot of some of the highlight reel moments you have during Ultimate Frisbee game, and we appreciate our photographers that are out here documenting it, and it's always a good reminder people work hard to get their photos, and support them, give them the recognition they deserve when you share photos and post them, and just make sure you give the artist the credit, and across the board, it's just a great way to further our sport, so need them to continue.
Keith, is it possible for cameras to get some more? So we saw a look to the end zone, resulting in a foul call. So the striker going to bring the disc back up to the front of the end zone. Getting into their end zone set. See defense from Linnea Fraser. But another massive grab. The striker all over the place today.
Looked like there was a nice toe of the line there to secure that disc for a score.
Number 19, Sadie Redding, Another active Minneapolis Dragon Thrust player reels in with a huge layout off of the throw from number 9, Sarah Helm, representative of Minneapolis Pop. And the strike get it right back to go up 10-9. About a minute and 20 seconds left in the game. We're going to really start to see these downwind scores, these holds, become more important, and we are going to be in a scenario where the red are going to need to get that up, that elusive and difficult upwind break if they want to regain control of this game. As we see the pull go up from the strike, wind wobbles it a little bit, settles it about 20 yards outside of the end zone. And as the strike put their defense together, we're going to see Tilo go and pick up the disc. Tilo directing their off-handler to attack more for yards. Tilo gets the disc back, attacks downfield. 2 strike players in the vicinity to frustrate the red player, Kristen Dudley, and earn another turnover. Rachel Johnson with the disc, about a yard into her own end zone. And they're attacking into that cup. Is that disc going to stay in bounds? It's called out of bounds by the observer. Red take over. Kristen Dudley with the disc in her hands. Finds it interior to Kelly Kirker. And a low throw pushed down by the wind. We've got about 10 seconds left. If the strike maintained possession, then they will get to a full opportunity at working up the field, and they are not able to. That disc was thrown and hit the ground before time expired. If that is ruled as a full change of possession, the red will get an opportunity here to score, hopefully score and even this game back up at 10. The observers are having a conversation about it with the players on the field. After some conversation, Tilo picks up. Noraya Bell Sims on the mark. A sliding grab. Kelly Kirker securing the disc and putting the red back to 10, or at 10 rather. That gives us another tie, one of several throughout the game. More importantly, keeps the ship even for red as we move to our fourth quarter. There's Tilo. You see that fake Kelly Kirker going off to her right, but Tilo recognizing, hey, there's a ton of space in the middle of the field, fakes her off. Kelly attacks back in as the strike player isn't able to get their footing and is able to secure an easy overpass from Tilo.
And that's a great score for Kelly, coming off of a couple almost grabs there throughout the last couple quarters. So very validating for her to get that score and to even us up at 10. So we'll see what we can do headed into the fourth.
So, 12 minutes left between us and the end of this game. Stoppages are going to come a little more frequently now in the fourth quarter. Remembering, I apologize. The fourth quarter can end in a buzzer beater. The stoppages may come a little more fast as we're seeing gameplay ramp up, but we are still fundamentally looking at who is going to be able to establish their defense, who is going to be able to frustrate the other team and earn that break opportunity. If the red are able to do so, they can regain control of this game and send the strike home with one in the loss column. The strike, though, in that advantageous position because of their earlier efforts, they just need to hold out. I wonder if the red are going to start stacking defensive lines or if they're going to continue to rely on the D-lines that we've seen so far.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a consistent group out there, so it'll be interesting to see if there's a little bit of a mix-up here as we kind of get into the pressure point of a tie game. to see what happens out there, see what Coach Blake Vanderbush wants to do. Just want to shout out some of our other sponsors today. We have the Parker Mortgage Team out of Noblesville, Indiana, Somerset Paving out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Materials Data Management also out of Indianapolis. It's great to have sponsors from different cities throughout the United States that reflect some of the hometowns of some of our players. So it's just a very involved sport, and just great to see different sponsors promoting and supporting Ultimate.
One other Ultimate personality I think is truly huge to recognize here, though she is not here herself, Lauren Piontek, referred to across the board as LP. She's one of the other founders of the Indy Red with Jackie Lai. Lauren can be found on Twitter as @tweetsbylp. She currently lives in Boston, playing for Boston Siege. This team doesn't get off the ground without her, the hard work that she put in with Jackie. We would be remiss not to mention her every opportunity that we get. Strike picking up the disc. Immediate deep look. There is a red defender in the area. Does not matter. Artistic catch by the strike player around the red defender, Jalen Baumgartner. That's number 7, Danielle Byers. What else can we say about her? High difficulty catch as we see the one throw from the strike. Reaches around Jalen's hand. Danielle Byers secures another goal, maintaining the strike advantage up 11-10.
One of Danielle's fun facts she has here is that she is really good at cropping shirts, depending on what your definition of good is. So that was definitely a good grab, so there's no contest there, but it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to check back with her on that one.
Might have to order myself a crop top from Danielle Byers.
Yeah, see what work she can come up with on that.
If you're going to order a crop top from Danielle Byers, take the time and support the PUL. Hit up any of the team shops. Order one that you think, hey, this looks good, and it would look better as a crop top.
Even better.
We'll check in with Danielle later. Maybe we can find a way to get those to her, and she can show us what her artistry is all about. Huge rip from the strike. This carries forward this time, settles in around the half field mark. It's going to be a much longer way to go for the Red than they've been used to seeing. Tilo picks up the disc. She's got Sydney Oland for the swing. Moves it upfield to Kelly Kirker. We're seeing some brilliant usage of space from the Red on this possession. But some hot defense from the strike as that throw is frustrated by the defender, number 55. Alicia Carr 00 picks the disc up, rips it downfield. We've got Tilo in the area. It's going to sail out of bounds, though. It's not going to matter despite high defensive pressure from the Red. Tilo picks up, grips, rips, throws downfield. That's number 29, Emily Schloniger, again from Fort Wayne Truck. Reels in the gorgeous throw. Evens this game back out at 11. Tilo picks up, no hesitation. A huge lefty flick huck downfield. Emily reads it the whole way.
Yeah, and Emily's always one to go deep, and she's a reliable scorer downfield, so it's nice to see her capitalizing on those opportunities today.
The difference on that point for me was the spacing that the Red utilized. There wasn't anything to say about that turnover, other than that it was highly challenged by the strike, but up to that point, the way that the Red attacked the space was radically different from their last few efforts, and it really set them up to give some of their downfield receivers opportunities to work with much more real estate than they'd had in the last 3 or 4 points. Instead of just looking for that deep huck every time, when you can stop, chew up 10, 15, 20 yards on every reception, that completely shifts the field and the views that you're going to start getting from defensive. The Red settle into their 3-3-1 deep. Ooh, much more of a 3-1-2-1 look. Kind of a diamond set in the backfield from the Red. Number 55 with a huge swing over to number 13. Maybe steals a little bit far, but Maggie Peck reels it in. Immediately moves upfield to number 9. Oh, and the disc sails over her head, out of bounds. It's going to be Red possession about 6 yards outside their own end zone. Upfield rip from Tilo. All the field closing in. And number 24 not able to. Is that Eliza Hutchings?
Believe so. That went through a couple red players' hands there. It's some dangerous territory down there past the 50-yard line towards the right side of the field. We haven't had too much action down there today. Definitely shout out to that wind.
So we've seen a couple of deep shot efforts from these teams back and forth on this point. And perhaps underutilized, very recognized, and very hated. Oh, goodness, Anastasia Foster gets in the ground, saves that disc with one hand, maintains possession for the Red. And the Red are looking to attack deep. Underappreciated strategy, we call it huck and stuff, where if you're in these scenarios and you can put it downfield and trust your defense, it can be a really easy way to give the other team long looks at the field and really trust your defense to earn the disc. Tilo with the D swings over to number 33 Jalen Baumgartner, back to Tilo. There's some contact on that throw to Tracy Lowe. Looks like they may have made a foul call. No contest from the Minnesota Strike player. Tilo maintains possession for the Red. And we resume play. Tilo with another deep look to Foster, who is reeling everything in with that secure one-hand grab of hers, and immediately streaks back. Not able to complete the grab that time. It's going to be out of bounds, and the striker going to take over on that sideline. Disc is called down by the Red. Strike player has no argument. And all of a sudden, the Red are potentially in attacking position as Makeda Moore. Disc is completed. Number 3, Mary Timmons.
Oh.
And the observer calls it in. Huge bid from the Indianapolis Red. They maintain possession. They get the upwind break, and they reclaim control of this game. They're up 12-11.
It's just like I just said. There was no action down there, and there we are.
Absolutely. I'd been thinking about it. We saw everything focused middle of the field to the team sideline. As Jalen Baumgartner gets her own recoil, lays out, keeps her feet down, and secures the score and the break. That's one that she's going to be talking about for weeks to come.
Yeah, that's a huge moment for Jalen. She's been all over the field this game and has been very pivotal in getting some Ds and some blocks. So it's really great to see her get that score. And that's what I always say: you got to follow the disc, and can't get it on the first hit, then you go for it on the second.
So Eliza Hutchings sees the opportunity. Jalen misses her recoil, misses her first attempt, but gets that right hand down and wide, fully horizontal to secure that disc.
That's a great play by Jalen.
That's a hustle play. USA Ultimate, we've seen the commercials. They like to talk about grit and grace. Well, that's both grit and grace right there.
Yep, most definitely. That's the thing about Ultimate athletes is you'll see a lot of that grit on the field, and Ultimate players are not afraid to throw their bodies around, which is definitely unique to our sport, and you'll see a lot of horizontal actions and layouts out on the field.
So now that the Red have earned this break back, it can't be understated how important and how much that shifts the flow of this game. The Red get to put a defensive line on. They have an opportunity, if they can earn another block or force another turnover, to look downwind at a score. The Strike have to work into this stiff upwind. We're not seeing as much gusting now. It's pretty steadily about 15 to 20 miles an hour. And they have to do it with the pressure of knowing that if they aren't able to secure that score, the Red can immediately break another time and be up 2. And the pulls are going to get huge as we see that one go up, and they're going to be attacking from so much farther downfield as the disc is pushed back into the end zone. The Striker going to take over 5 yards deep.
Yeah, this will be a key moment for red zone to work here. They've been doing great all game, so anticipate seeing what they can do.
We see that 3-person cup settle in. Alicia Carr has to really fight to get that 2 or 3 yards that she did. Looks to attack and push that back, but keep that pivot foot down at the same time. Rachel Johnson frustrated by the looks that she's not getting. We see the red are reaching their hands and trying to frustrate every single throw.
It's a nice attempt there to save that one.
That was Sarah Monshine, number 21. And here we are in that pivotal moment. The red take over. Tracy Lowe, disc still in her hand. On the receiver, not giving T-Lowe the look that they wanted as they start to come back under, leaving only the strike defender in the vicinity. And the strike are going to take over on the front of their end zone. Red cup settles back in. You can see the 3 in the middle, especially led by number 40, Skittles Milton, really talking with each other, communicating where the cutters are going, the spaces that they're attacking. They know that if they can force a turn here, the game is fully in their control. It's foot to the gas at that point. Huge break over to Alicia Carr, fakes off the far receiver, moves it upfield to number 21. That's Sarah Monshine. And Alicia Carr hadn't come up to attack the space that Monshine wanted yet. And the Red are once again in attacking position. That's Duds with the disc. There's a huge around break. And despite the bid, the Red receiver number 8, Jamie Smet's not able to secure that disc.
Get the strike back on the end zone line here. Definitely have been some good handler movement from the Minnesota Strike players. It takes a lot of patience to work the disc upfield, especially in a win like this, and to have such solid handlers back. It's always a good thing.
Turnover from the strike. Tila looks to attack immediately. High floating throw. Maybe not the decision that the coaches were looking for, as the strike are able to earn another block. Down on the cup, working harder, Bree Harrison, number 14, number 17, Kristen Dudley, number 8, Jamie Smets. They're that initial line looking to really frustrate the handlers for the strike.
Yeah, Red's definitely getting the opportunities here, so they just have to be patient with their looks and see what they can come up with.
Bounces out of the hands of Alicia Carr. The Red will get yet another look at the end zone as Duds goes to pick this disc up. We see Shani Rosenthal attacking. Parch, a teammate, gets into the downfield space, and that's a goal. The Red have done it. They're up 13-11. They secure the combo of the upwind break and downwind break, get a 2-point lead on the strike, and they are in the driver's seat as Duds patiently awaits out her Parcha teammate. Shani knows where she wants to go, attacks that back down space, that in-cut space, and Duds doesn't have to do anything but lay it up to her.
Yeah, and Duds is such a great vet player that has played with Red for a while and has also played with Parcha and other teams as well. And so she knows what she's doing out there and is able to just capitalize and be patient with the disc and maximize the opportunity she gets and converts it into a score.
So the strike have to be a little flustered now, right? You got to think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard when you get two opportunities like that in a row and aren't able to capitalize on either of them. It can definitely get into your head for sure as an Ultimate Frisbee player, and but that's where the real talent and mental game comes in. That it's not impossible for them to come back from this by any means, but it's just going to take some patience and some smart throws and just really locking in on what they do best, and we'll see what they can come up with.
Remember that a lot of these strike women, as they run down getting ready to set up in their offense, a lot of these strike players play on high-level teams. We've mentioned how many players now that play for Dragon Thrust, play for Pop, these nationals teams. They're not averse to being in these positions. They've been there before. It just happens naturally over the course of an Ultimate career. So it's not necessarily that they're feeling the pressure of being down to, it's the external factors.
Correct.
As we see them attack the end zone, it's the time and it's the wind, and knowing that those are two things that change. And that's a foot block that may come back. No contested foul. That's Callie Paletto with the disc in her hand. Over to number 13. That's Maggie Peck. And that mark hard on the no around. And that's a goal. With the pylons down, it can be hard to recognize sometimes, but the far observer makes the call, Zach Mabry, and the strike smooth things out a little bit, get that goal, get that hold that they were looking for, and they're down 12-13 to the Indianapolis Red. They're going to be looking to earn that same upwind break that the Red earned earlier to try to get this thing back on serve, or maybe even put themselves in a position to attack for another break and maybe take control of this game again. With 3.5 minutes left, the Red are in a position where up 2 breaks, they can... 2 breaks? 1 break? Up 1 break? So up 1 break, rather. My apologies. You know, they're still in the driver's seat and control, but they're going to want to look to keep this hold nice and easy and then see if they can earn another upwind break and kind of really put the strike back in the locker rooms on their way home.
Yeah, and that last goal was from Jess Hendrickson, number 14 on Minnesota Strike. I believe that was her first goal that she's brought in today, so just wanted to shout her out. That was a nice find for her.
She plays for mixed team Bird out of Minnesota.
Another short pole. See what Indy Red can do with that.
Tracy Lowe going down to pick the disc up. Sydney Oland and Kristen Dudley in the backfield with them. Full cleared out of the backfield. And the throw sails over Sydney Oland. The strike immediately attack upfield, but the receiver not able to get over to the disc in time. So the Red will be attacking from a little bit farther back than they started on this close sideline. Throw goes up from Tilo. Nariah Bell Sims gets big with 2 hands, blocks the disc, sails out the back, and Rachel Johnson will be picking up. 2.5 minutes left. So as we approach this kind of 2-minute warning in the 4th quarter, I want to point out that stoppages are going to increase. Once we're inside of 2 minutes, not just between points and pulls, but also every single call or out-of-bounds turnover is going to be a stoppage as well to really maintain the amount of time that these teams have to continue play.
Yeah, and you got to honor the effort there from Meg Armstrong to really go after that disc. It was definitely potentially able to be saved, but unfortunately just directions and factors was just not in her favor. But gotta look for the effort.
Tilo with a sharp upline move gets the defender to shift inside and then continues attacking on that strike line. Reels in the goal from Duds as you get that on the replay. And the Red are right back up to 14-12 with 1:53 left.
Yeah, definitely have some stat leaders today for the Indy Red. We've seen Duds out there, Jamie Smets, Tilo, Kelly Kirker's got a couple scores. So definitely some playmakers out there today, but definitely a team effort to keep this game moving and see if we can bring this one home for a victory.
So with 1:50 left, Rochelle, in your coaching, you're down to, do you trot your regular O-line out there, or do you start to stack an offensive line, as those holds become important and as they need to happen faster?
I personally would probably stack a little bit. I think it's important to get this offensive point quickly and then look into being able to put out a break line out there to be able to then score quickly again. So I think securing this offensive hold is a huge part in what the next duration of the last minute 50 seconds brings, and so I personally would stack a line.
I think I'm in the same place as you as we see the strike pick up after the pull from Anna McClurkin. Immediate rip. Red player in the vicinity. That is number 4, Haley Banis from Detroit Pixel. Disc is walked back to the front and play continues. Haley Banis with the disc in her hands. That's over to Anna McClurkin. High pressure grab from Emily Wyckoff, swings back the disc, goes back to the cutting space. And we're seeing the red start to really chew through this defense. On the bidding effort from Emily Wyckoff, not able to secure the disc, but gets the pressure back on with her mark, and the disc is thrown away as the Reds send Anna McClurgan over to General from this front right corner, or front left corner rather, of the end zone. And some contact initiated there by Anna McClurkin on number 19, Sadie Redding, who picks the disc up and immediately finds the receiver. And the strike hit back to be down 13-14. Number 19, as you heard in the announcement call, Sadie Redding with the goal.
Yeah, so we got about 39 seconds left here. So we'll see what the Red can do in that period of time, and ideally look for a hold here to score and potentially wrap up this game.
And that was Sadie Redding with the assist. Jane Cook reeled the goal in, adding to her total on the day. Another high effort grab. We've seen her make so many of those in this game alone.
Yeah, it's lots of fans out here today. We do have the Indiana High School showcase game will take place after this game, so it's a good opportunity to have some fans out here. I see we have some support from other players, from Alley Cats players, and just a good mentality out here to support women's ultimate, women's matching ultimate, and just the high school and youth scene as well. So it'll be a good opportunity for everyone to enjoy this day together, and we'll see how this game wraps up.
All right. And as Tilo picks the disc up, time continues. So the Red are in an interesting position where, as the shot goes up, they don't necessarily need to take those shots. They could play more possession-oriented. Tilo saw something they liked, though, and went for it. Bree Harrison bites in to stop that swing look. The strike, reel it in. Looking downfield, the wind is going to frustrate those deep looks, though. That's number 21 who reels it in, Sarah Monshine. Over to Nariah Bell Sims. The Red get a player in front of it. And that is a turnover. And that is the nail in the coffin as your Indianapolis Red come away victorious in this game over the Minnesota Strike, 14-13. The Indianapolis Red moved to 2-0 on the season. The Minneapolis Strike in this road trip come out 1-1. It's their debut season, though. I think that they probably saw a lot that they liked in some places to work and grow, and they're going to be a threat as the season goes on.
Most definitely. We definitely saw some good movement and plays from them out there. It was tough conditions today, but it's always a factor when you're playing outdoors. But it'll be interesting to see how the Red move forward. They have a doubleheader coming up this weekend. There's actually a tripleheader here in Indianapolis, but doubleheader for a couple of those teams playing. So it'll be interesting to see how they convert their victories into some games this weekend, and we'll see if they can keep their winning record alive.
For now, though, you see the players celebrate. This was a huge win for them. They moved to 2-0 on the season. They are very in control in a Midwestern division, alone at the top, as the Milwaukee Monarchs are 1-1. The Strike are 1-1, and Columbus Pride are 0-2. Thank you, though, everyone, for joining us today. We're going to take some time to thank our sponsors again. Parker Mortgage Team, located in Noblesville, Indiana. That rate you found on the internet, it's no better than a dead disc, and it's really only part of your mortgage equation. You need a go-to mortgage advisor to walk you through the process and paint that whole picture. Check out the Parker Mortgage Team in downtown Noblesville. Again, they're basically your Vincent Van Gogh, too.
And again, shout out to Zen Lab Indy. Zen Lab is an online yoga studio that is trying to reduce socioeconomic and physical barriers to yoga. Your teacher, Kristen, offers free classes every month, along with virtual on-demand classes, as well as live virtual classes. So great opportunity. So check her out at zenlabindy.com to learn more.
Somerset Paving in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Somerset is Detroit's expert in asphalt and concrete paving. Somerset Paving. Take the right way to quality.
Also have materials data management located out of Indianapolis. MDMI Materials Data Management has the experience and drive necessary to help your organization deploy the best in engineering materials information solutions. Check them out on LinkedIn for current job openings and on their website at materialsdatamanagement.com for a full list of their services and software.
And finally, Everyone's Joy Photography in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Everyone's Joy Photography, UND sports team photographer and Indy Reds official photography company. It doesn't matter if you need sports or fashion. We got you covered at any event. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or online at everyone'sjoyphotography.com.
Yeah, and again, want to shout out Indy Red. Head over to their website to learn more about some of the causes that they are passionate about and supporting that we mentioned throughout the game, and encourage you to donate to those as well.
Thank you to our partners. We thank them at halftime. You know them, the Girl Scouts of America in Central Indiana, the ACLU of Indiana, the Premier Ultimate League, Universe Point Productions, and the Indiana Ultimate Foundation. Again, they're putting on the high school showcase game?
Yes.
High school showcase game after this at 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Well.
Great. I've been Charlie Lowe.
And I'm Rochelle Frash, and it was a pleasure being with you guys today. You'll probably hear us again coming soon, and it's great to be out here and watch some beautiful Ultimate with you all.
Everyone have a wonderful day, and stay out of the wind if you can.